Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to episode 359 of Every Damn Day. I'm sitting down in the sanctuary. We're doing it a little bit early today because, I'll start with my shout out. Shout out to Raven Norris, my daughter, who's coming home from Los Angeles to visit for a few days, pick up her cat, and grab a few more things. Some of you will know she moved out to Los Angeles about a month ago and is working with Cedars-Sinai as a geneticist. So pretty awesome. We're really proud of her. Also want to give a shout out to Joe Walker, the champ, Mr. Joe Walker, that is, and thisent.com. And thank you for promoting the show and everything you're doing. We love you a lot. And my last shout out to Punks with Lunch, who was just in here packing up lunches that they'll be distributing in the park. Thanks for helping feed people. Food security is still an issue coming out of the pandemic. It was an issue before the pandemic, so all the help is always helpful. So thank you, everyone. And let's bring my guest, my new friend, Andrew. How you doing today?
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
It's nice to be with you, too. I'm so excited to get to know you. I love it when I have a show where I don't know somebody that well, and I get to learn stuff about them while we're going through this, and it just, I don't know, it just feels so good.
I'm that way, too. Exactly. I love discovery with new people.
Yeah.
It's the best.
It's and to be able to document it, I really appreciate you telling your story online with us here.
It's great service you provide.
Well, thank you. So let's jump right into you. Tell us about you. Where were you born and raised? Where'd you go to school? What's your deal?
Am I still breathing and putting on my own clothes and fixing my own food? I have no idea either. But it's certainly been a long, strange trip, like pretty much everybody. I'm a West Side kid. Grew up in that neighborhood just below the Summit Steel plant, bordered by that railroad yard that used to run past the Oldsmobile plant. So I went to Verlinden Elementary, then Otto Junior High, Sexton. I had odd jobs. I worked a little bit in the Fisher plant. Graduated from Michigan State with a degree in English, but I also had a small music scholarship that got me lessons at the school and allowed me to play in the symphony. And I've my emphasis in college was creative writing, especially poetry. Had some technical writing internship also while there. After college, shortly after, I kind of stumbled into a very long career in aging and disability rights policy and advocacy. I worked as an assistant state ombudsman. I did a couple years in the U.S. Senate doing constituent cases in Medicare, Social Security, and immigration. Governor appointed me to chair a commission on long-term support services and chaired a number of councils. It was all quite wonky in a lot of ways with the whole aging disability scene. It was a thrilling time because I mostly got to be in rooms with people way smarter than me, way more knowledgeable. And I can't tell you how often that musician side just kept coming up because I kept playing music, playing in different classical combos for weddings. Soon got into different rock bands, took up electric violin, sat in with a number of jazz combos, blues groups, a folk duo at the beginning. Been at that ever since, kept writing poetry. To me, it struck me as just one enormous palette for everything, not going in one direction either, by the way, because it quickly struck me how even in policy or circles and deliberations, that it was still jamming. It was jamming about concepts, about approaches, sequences. You got album where you have to figure out your tracks and arrangements. As I found, as my latest project, my latest iteration of Over the Hell This Is, and realized that it's always about improvising based on what you see coming, what you feel has been, and the other ideas that the others are contributing to the sound. If we say, my favorite phrase in those days was when all that was going on among groups large and small, work groups large and small, was we were learning to uh, fly the plane while building it.
Yeah.
When I got to finally doing this album, the experience was learning to fly the plane while building it, while also finding the plane.
Ah,
And so all this continued as a mix, as kind of a lifelong jam. Parallel to all this, I got to tell you and your audience, I managed to make my personal life an ongoing upheaval fiasco, riddled with poor, rotten judgment and worse luck. Um, and for whatever it's worth, and for whatever reason why, I come away with oddly little in the way of regret. I've lived for the last 14 years alone, and almost every day I think to myself, why didn't you do this 40 years sooner? If I'd done this 40 years sooner, things would be different today. Maybe that sounds a little bit, like regret. I don't know. But I kept playing, kept writing, kept staying involved in issues, great and small, in and out of my level of competency or delusions about competency to be involved in the issue. And it still just keeps striking me, Jerry, as one big jam, where you listen, you have the courage to know when you're supposed to take the lead, the courage to know when to shut up and stay out of the way, and when just to more stay humble about what are the meaningful, discrete, focused contributions you might be able to make, up to and including helping maybe a situation sort out some chaff so another voice that really needs to be heard can cut through a little bit better. It's hard to describe that scenario. I'm sure you've been in it already. So that's the sum.
I want to stop you for a second, and I'm going to start with how you and I, the conversation we had to get you on the show. You signed up, and then you canceled, and I was like, why did you cancel? And I sent you an email because I didn't quite understand if I had done something wrong or something. And then you were like, well, I'm not sure that I fit in with your guests and all that. And I was like, no, everybody has a story and everyone's an expert. And, you just kind of talked about this album and all of that. And you just told me, you just blew my mind with all of the work that you're doing. Aging in ADA is so important. And you're like a rock star before you even get to the rock star part. And then you've just blown my mind with the, I'm thinking, as I just finished a meeting with a kid that's starting a new business, and we went through, a metaphor where he's a scientist and he has a hypothesis and he's got to do experiments, and we want to prove that this is going to be a successful business, or we want to mitigate risk, or we need to stay objective.
I love it.
And your analogy is so much better that, your business, you're sitting there and you're playing jazz, and you've got to be ready for that. That was amazing how you wove all that in together, and kudos for the poetry that is to, you just changed probably the way I'm going to talk about startups.
let's be fair and democratic about this, though, Jerry.
Okay.
Luck might be the not the right word, but I'll have to say that I talked about the relentless cycle of bad decisions, judgment, and fiascos in my personal life that I like to think are behind me. Parallel to that is a miraculous Mississippi River of good fortune in relationships, and people far greater than my betters. I come to think at this point, everyone's my better, and that doesn't sound democratic, right? Because we're all equal before the law, and that's damn true, always is. But I just had the experience that there are just so many kinds of superior human beings, I put them, from all walks of life and backgrounds. And for whatever reason, that these decades, many of those people just let me in. They took me in, and they allowed me to be with them and to learn from them, to guide me, mentor me. Probably many of them didn't know they were mentoring me, but I'm going like, yeah, that kind of thing. So if your mind is blown, so be it. Mine still is. And I think a hopeful sign for anybody is maybe the most optimistic place to be is if you realize your mind is always being blown, means you're in the right place. You're moving in the right direction. And I'm trying to do that still.
I had a guest question once where they asked, when was the last time you blew your own mind? And I think, well, no, I'm not asking you unless you want to talk about that.
So I didn't respond to, I think your point about how I canceled on this show. And folks, I judged a book by its cover. I saw the title Every Damn Day and I go, what? Every damn day? There's 6 billion people have a harder time every hour than I'll ever understand. I don't belong in this show. I just made a little record album. What am I doing? So I thought, no, get out of the way. Get someone on the show who really is relevant to that topic. And Jerry jumped back in to correct me, and it's a good thing. Maybe it's his mistake, but he'll decide that later. But I wanted to respond to that why I backed out was I misjudged the book by the title. Yeah, I got every damn day issues too, but nothing like most of the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me. I'm a white, old, fat, heterosexual guy who can't possibly understand the challenges that most of the world goes through every hour. I try to grasp it, and that's going to be a long distance, endless race for me too.
Yeah. I think that it's all relative. It's, your problems are different across different demographics and all of that. But at the same time, even the work you're doing with people with disabilities or with aging, that is such important work because we're all going to get there in some way. I mean, we might not experience a disability, but we're going to be different than we are. When I'm 55, I'm going to be different than I'm going to be when I'm 75.
It gets into whole issues around identity. How you identify yourself, how you experience yourself. Do you even get a say in who that is to others? Do you have enough empowerment to understand you get to declare those things for yourself? People go in and out of that. Hell, I do too. All part of that mix of that story, though.
The other thing that struck me is you were talking about, when to shut up, when to play, when to get out of the way. And if you're a jazz ensemble, you guys all have to kind of take turns and play off each other and know each other and do that all the time. And I think of my title at the Fledge is Primus Inter Pares. It's the first among equals. So sometimes I have to get out of the way and let somebody else kind of be the lead bird in the V that's flying us wherever we're flying to. And I like everything you said. I could ask you 1,000 questions right now.
Let me toss another ingredient to that point, though, you're making too. I think there is a major role for the aspect of preparation. Preparation is a factor and a credential. Not so much that it's conferred by someone else or some institution. Those things are there, but it's mostly about a credential you confer on yourself about respect for the craft you're going to pursue, and respect for your own ability and aspiration and commitment and risk taking to try to gain some sort of competency with it, let alone eventual mastery. I say that because it's an aspect of honor about yourself and your own soul and your lifetime that I worry people deny themselves to me. In hindsight, I see how many ways I've denied it to myself. And I point it out not just for its own sake, but because when individuals show up with preparation, however they want to define it, it takes the whole event and experience about what's going to happen together to next levels, to much higher levels. You honor everyone else by having honored yourself that way, so that the result in the synergies of the collaboration is that everyone gets to make better and greater performance choices and decision levels making. Back in those years when, and still in these years when I'm still lucky enough to be surrounded by superior human beings, right? I'm not.
Mhm.
Um, what I've learned is you listen to the whole deliberation of the group, and if you're really listening and following it, the jam, if you will, you see where the ideas are going. You feel the tones being expressed in the backgrounds, how they seem to color the experience. That is your thinking too, because you're processing it. And you find yourself making contributions you could not have possibly made without that discussion. So, so I just wanted to lift up. Preparation to me is something I wouldn't want anyone to cheat themselves out of. However they want to define that. Invest in yourself. No quit.
I love it. We say sponsor yourself, but it's in that same vein.
All right.
Just because like kids want to get skateboarders want to get shoe sponsors and they want to get skateboard sponsors. And we just say, you got to sponsor yourself first.
Interesting.
Invest in yourself. So I want to go back to Sexton. So I graduated from Eastern in '84. I think you probably graduated from Sexton earlier than that.
77.
77.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my old wrestling coaches, the Chenards, the Flanders, and people like that were in that time frame. But I don't know. I knew a lot of people from Sexton in the 70s. My uncle was an Everett guy in the 70s, but played hockey. So I think maybe there was a combined team and something. I don't know. So, but anyways, a Big Red, huh?
Well, a couple of points that we're talking about 50 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about those days in a long time. I never think about them now. I find myself too overloaded with what is going on now, what's going to happen next. That's where my focus has been for a very long time. I just don't even think about that period. Unfortunately, only all too recently are not enough of us thinking about that. We got to put the Big Red mascot away.
Oh, yeah.
It's bigoted. It's got to go. Okemos just did this.
Yeah,
I'm going, Sexton, it's your turn. What are you waiting for? There's grant money. You can change your mascot. Stop this racism.
I thought they were working on that.
I hope they are. It's hard for me to get news about that. I don't know exactly where to look. I go on the school website. I have a hard time seeing any indication of any activities. I'm not saying it's not there. I mean, it's who maintains the website is often the trick. But I don't mean to be blunt about the whole Big Red thing. To your question, to me, it's something that bugs me in particular. Like recently, when I see all the other national and state and local mascots right here in town making that change and making that correction and showing that respect, and I'm singing, "Come on, Sexton, what's taking so long here?" Yeah. So no, I don't call myself a Big Red, and I don't think anyone should.
I love your response. Thank you for gently correcting me and bringing that to the top, because I have thought about it before, but as I was saying that, it's just so natural it's wrong.
It's the service of this show. Hopefully there's some other people watching this who feel the same way, or will start feeling the same way, and maybe start activating with the school themselves too, to say, come on, get it in gear.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
I love that you brought that up, and I will make sure that is something that's documented about this show.
Do this, do that, do everything else, Jerry, and then do everything after that. Come on, get going.
I'll do my best. I know
you will. I know. So that's all I'm trying to do too. Whatever my best is. Some days are better than others.
Yeah. Well, let's take your lead into the future and what you're doing now and what you have to do to kind of move forward there. What are the projects that you're working on? How do we get to some of your music?
Well, for better or worse, your reason you got me on this show is because you listened to a track, maybe two tracks, and you didn't become ill. That you must have found it not too awful. But putting sarcasm aside, lo and behold, with all that background, such as it is, for all it is, I've with the writing, the musicianship, the mentoring. I've come to find as an artist, as a recording artist, particularly that seems to be for me resulted in a sort of a perfect mix, if there is such a thing, for becoming a recording artist. Because for me, the conventional world has been the most vital, urgently relevant palette for what's going to be creative, because that's the experience of the human condition. And as I said before, conventional activities have all the ingredients of artistic creation expression also, and all their iterations, all their evolutions, same kind of thing. And because of my background, all the changes I've had, I became early intrigued by the notion of redactions. And your audience may see the album reference for here is called Redacted Passages. I don't know if their website for that album is being shared or not, for instance, but an album emerged for me. And once again, an opportunity to collaborate with superior human beings of greater musical training, and including a wonderful recording studio, Elm Street Studios, run by the mayor of Rio Town, Ryan Wirt, down there on Elm Street. And together with some of Lansing's greatest performers, is able to miraculously get produced an album that follows the theme of lives and pieces of lives and stories being disappeared, being markered out with a permanent marker pen, lines erased. This is before Robert Mueller and his impeachment report was put out. I was already enamored, or not enamored, but intrigued by that, looking at my own life of redactions, mistakes, just bad luck, and then thinking about how this has got to be experienced with so many people, people who are in far different positions from I, who have to actively and willfully redact parts of their identity in order to stay alive, to be safe, and also endlessly finding people around them redacting them for them, so to speak, against their will. I mean, even to the microaggressions of talking over them, of changing the subject from when they're talking about themselves, to the whole systemic issues that were still too late in understanding, that are continuing grinding on all kinds of people, far more than I'll ever have to experience myself, making me particularly responsible for acting against it. And most of the time I feel pretty witless in my efforts, but I try and need to never stop. So it's that redaction theme. This album basically creates about 8 vignettes, if you will, 8 little mini plays of story. The first track especially is a series of vignettes about different characters experiencing struggle to expression and to be understood, and to understand themselves. The title being All the Crazies would seem outwardly to be about labeling some people crazy and others is not. But if you take it as a whole and you listen to it as a whole, the intent is to question and to overthrow what it is to be crazy, when there's not a lot that makes sense anyway, no matter what your background is, especially with the choices that some people make. So I'll leave it to the listener to hear that song. The album provides full lyrics for all the songs. I think those are the most key part. My approach was swing for the fences on the lyrics first. Don't hold back a single syllable. There's nothing to be afraid of there. They may be initially unsingable, but that's when I go back and refine them, find the rhythm, the cadence, inject a little extra rhyme and balance to make them singable. Someday maybe someone who really can sing will sing these songs, who knows, but to make that not something to have any doubt about on the lyrics. And the arrangements flow from that. And not just that song as a whole, but the rest of the tracks have different aspects about redaction, about the choices that we make, the choices made against our will, and maybe the experience that we're all a different person based on the individual we're with. We have our sides, and for whatever reason, they come through with different individuals every time. that's maybe a good thing, maybe not a good thing. Maybe it's a natural thing. We know we don't act the same way toward our lovers as we do toward our parents. I hope not. Let alone kids act different with each other than they do with their parents. I once said to my kid a long time ago, she let a swear word out. It didn't bug me, but I thought I should say to her, listen, the rule is kids swear with kids. Adults swear with adults, but kids and adults never swear with each other. I don't believe that either, but I found myself saying that to her like, what, 20 years ago or something. So that's kind of the idea of the album. The next one I'd already had in mind while I was still wrapping up the first one. That was going to sort of extend the theme. It had a working title of Cheating on the Test of Time. But since the pandemic, with all that's been revealed about our country, about ourselves, about the sheer delusion about racial so-called progress, has cast that whole theme in a completely different light. And so my work of late has been, once again, focusing on the lyrics first, making the material selections. I have mountain ranges of lyrics I've built up for a long time and have called through a number of them. I kind of have told others it's like I've arranged what some painters do of different canvases arranged on easels in a room in a kind of a semicircle. And they move from one easel to another based on their energy of the given day or an idea they had that night before and move among them. And so that's where this new project is at, is moving from canvas to canvas, making refinements and realizing semi-consciously that I need to wake them up together. So maybe people listen to the first album, they might get some indications where the next one's headed.
So a couple of comments real quick. The mayor of Rio Town, he was very kind to show me his studios. So we have something called Fledge Music Group. We have studios downstairs, but he would always show me the studios and the houses and what they were for and taught me a lot. You might have run across Matt Waterman in your work with Elm Street too, because he's done a lot of work with Ryan.
I wish I did a lot more work with Elm Street. I'm hoping to in the future, but we'll see.
And All the Crazies, that's the song I listened to. And I was thinking there was another one here, but I saw the lyrics to All the Crazies, didn't I? As I was playing, I want to play it, but it'll come through the speaker. I thought I saw the lyrics on your website, but I have put your website up there.
All the website has the tracks that people can audition the whole thing, but there's an info link within each track that takes everyone to the lyrics.
Oh, okay.
As well as the musicians on it and the arrangers and all that. It's all complete. Tracks info is on info link on each track, and bigger backgrounds on the website also about the other musicians and other stuff.
I'm going to explore.
No t-shirts though, folks. You're not going to find t-shirts. Sorry.
No.
Not that smart.
And you've got your physical CD at Elderly.
Last I know.
Okay.
I assume they're still in stock, or that they'd call me if it wasn't. But you can download the album with cheap off the website. It's on iTunes and Amazon. Amazon can issue a CD version of it also. I'm leaving aside what your attitudes are right about Amazon in general, but there it is. And I know it's on a number of different streaming platforms, but those are the key ways to get it. The online ways off my website or Apple Music or Amazon, where you can download it or get the CD through there as well.
So it is. I mean, it's $7 to download the whole thing, I think, or $1 per track. And
spend more of that on your caramel monkey macchiato chai pumpkin spice death camp coffee. So.
Man, you're pushing all my buttons. I don't like working with Amazon at all. I am not a fancy coffee guy, just because I find it so wasteful.
Salute.
Salute. I've got probably some Maxwell House or something.
Delicious.
Is good enough for me. the last drop or something like that.
Mhm.
So, how far away? Do you have a timeline for your next album?
No, when I talk about the first one, learning to fly the plane and build a plane and find the airport at the same time, uh, I took foolishly took courage from that experience to realize you can even improvise about how to even do a project. But I came away from that understanding you can build anything you want into an album if you can hear it. If you can hear it in here, you can build a lane for it right in that project. And so it's emboldened me to even be even more fearless about the lyrics, which is I'm paying a heavy price now for because they're even bigger crocodile to wrestle into a song format, but I'm getting there. I've also learned the value of continually listening for what's going to be the groove, what's going to be the feel and palette and framing for this song. There's an old saying, I'm sure you've heard it. I'm sure many of your audience have. I forget who said it about poems are never finished. They're only abandoned.
Mm.
And the truth about that is that at some point an artist has to release a work. That if they don't, if they continue figuring how to refine it, how to make it better, it never sees the light of day and they lose their minds. But it's still true. There's always ways to improve, make something better. Some will go out and revise and update. Having said that, with this first album, as pleased with it as I am, as grateful as I am for how it sounds tons better and tons different from whatever I imagined going into it. There are so many moments when I go, I could have done this, or I should have dropped this whole new section right at this point in the song. There's this other ingredient I could have added. So I play that forward and thinking around, make sure I'm even more wide open and listening for what's possible for how this song needs to be framed and expressed and housed. It gets back to that whole performance decision piece. Trust the structure and the process to take it to a higher level of opportunity. And I'm still listening for that ascent to those new opportunities for what to put on the tracks. Sometimes that leads to changes in lyrics, by the way. Damn it. But there, so, yeah.
Just real quick, I want to, andrewfarm.org is your website, and that's where people can learn a lot about you. And I also put the link to the Apple Music where they can download it from there or preview it and all of that too. So
get the kids to buy 10 million copies. I'll split it with the Fledge.
10 million?
Yeah,
I'll do my best.
Just sell 10 million of these babies, and I'll split it with a Fledge, and we'll become despicable and approachable, heartless capitalists.
Billionaires?
Yes.
Okay.
And
all right.
Start and fly rockets to whatever the hell.
Just outer space, so we can give
outer
everyone
space.
the finger.
Yes, outer space.
That's going to come up in a minute, I think.
Mm-hmm. I still have the wrong answer, by the way, but go ahead.
So, do you? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Are you a painter or anything like that? Do you use that painting analogy? And I actually now I've got stuck in my head right now. I'm going to find 8 canvases. I'm going to find 8 easels, and I'm going to try that. I want to do that.
Then my work is done here today, and you're welcome.
Seriously,
I'll be interested in hearing what your experiences of how that might impact possible breadths of idea and your muse of across all of them as a result. You let me know about that. I was intrigued
I
how that works for you.
I do it with business models all the time. I have.
I bet you do. You have to.
They're laid out in front of me, and I switch from one to one, or I've got little notebooks that I just keep building them a little bit, depending exactly what you said on my energy on that day.
You're already doing it. So yeah, try it out on putting a bunch of canvases out at the same time. And maybe you get to lose your mind also.
That's okay though too, because I'm not even sure. I don't know. You used the word delusional earlier, and that's always, I've got a history of Alzheimer's and dementia in my family. I watched my grandma and grandfather, kind of deteriorate into not knowing us and not being able, just confused and calling me my dad and all kinds of different things, and going into that, back to their childhood memories and looking for their little sister or their friend from childhood. And I try to get into their space. I try to get to think like what that would be. And at the end of the day, I could be laying somewhere unconscious dreaming this show right now, right? And
I made a kind of a joke about that many times, that people say, how am I doing? And I say, not necessarily joking. I said, well, everything right now seems really vivid to me. I really have a feeling like this interaction is actually happening, that we're both standing here. They kind of start walking backwards from me, but I say it as a joke, but also realizing I believe it. Like, for whatever reason, we're having an interaction and I'm hearing complete sentences. I mean, what about advanced dementia as a greater analogy forward action? Not just of that person, but of the people that they had relationships with. Their relationships are being redacted also. It's the most hideous, maybe the most hideous aspect, other than the physical impacts on the sufferer. Yeah, I hear that. I've seen it. I still see it.
This I don't know the word. I'm searching for a word. It's not dichotomy, because it's not. You don't have these opposing things. But I did not expect you to talk about this work and the work that your view. I can't believe I let Big Red slip out of my mouth like that without thinking.
Listen, Jerry. This important point is we especially we white guys gotta think about shame differently. Mm-hmm. That wasn't my intent. I think. Let me put it this way. So I woke up, not to get political, but to talk about shame. Waking up the next morning after the 2016 elections, horrified, shocked, ashamed, humiliated, going, I didn't know this was my country. I didn't know where this country was still at. And having a conversation with a person of color subsequently, reflecting on my experience in shame, like, boo-hoo, and he says to me, oh, you mean you've discovered the country we've always known. And the shame deepens from there, as it should, because you go, this is the tantamount to walking down the street and watching someone getting beaten by a gang, and you walking by because you don't think it's happening. Imagine how that feels to the person being beaten. So I think the shame piece is a critical moment to move, to own it, but use it as a catalyst toward action and endless self-education. But the litmus is action. Our privilege is a moral carbon monoxide that always keeps us white people on the path toward forgetting, ignoring, and denying. And it never quits, it never sleeps. We have to keep smashing the windows of that garage we're sleeping in with that carbon monoxide, keep trying to get air. That's through relationships, but it's mostly a now action is the only thing that counts, personally and broadly in our community. So don't go there, sir. I don't know if you are. But the Big Reds thing is, it's stupid. It's immature. Let's fix it.
Yeah, I want to go towards action. I saw that as you gently pointed it out to me. You weren't a jackass about it or anything like that. You pointed it out. It's a truth. It's a blind spot. It's probably a blind spot because of my loyalty to my old wrestling members and all of that. So it's going to make me not only, now I've got to look for where are all the Big Reds in my life that are in that space and start talking about it, because I have no problem, coming at the Lansing School District a little bit for a number of things. And that is one that I did not see.
We all get a chance to enable our loyalties to mature. Let's be on it. Yeah. I have to continually also.
Yeah.
No question.
I'm also going after U of M for a couple of things that happened in the past as well.
They got it coming too. They got it coming.
They sort of do. They sort of do. Um, so, I thought your mission was going to be sort of clear. I make songs and I try to, affect people's way of thinking. I do really love this All the Crazy song, the story that's there. And if you listen to it, you get, I don't know, I didn't know what to expect.
Wait till
And then
you
you're
get
just,
wait till you get to Said Goodbye to Summer.
that's okay.
It's the next one. Just wait for that. And then go
All right.
as you were, sir.
Well, anyways,
Carry on.
what, I don't know if this is a fair question, but what's kind of your mission here? What are you trying to push forward? And what do you do every damn day to do that?
Well, I think it's a perfect question. It's on my mind, top of mind quite a bit. And frankly, I'm down to this. The mission is the moment. And the moment is back to that point about preparation. and the other key ingredients about relationships. A new sense of being humble comes from that, from far too remedial recognition of my own limits, of having one of the aspects of I discerned from how I've made so many mistakes in my personal life was for far too long I overstated my own relevance to other people, and I got to knock that crap out. So it could be more succinct to your question. What I'll say is this: my mission, if you will, comes from yet another far wiser person. I'll translate as follows, and I have to other people. The here and now is a mighty fortress. If you keep yourself rooted to the here and now, everything is possible. Things will happen. They have already happened that will knock you down hard. So hard you don't think you'll ever get up. Respect it when it happens. Know you need to heal and recover. That it will knock you off the beam into the deep past and into an uncontrollable future. And the more extreme you get in any direction, the more upset and tortured you become. The more paralyzed you become in one end or the other. When you get knocked down hard, it will happen. You're going to be going, whoa, like this, or maybe just bam. Recognize you have to live with that a little bit, but have an expectation that you're going to slowly get that beam back here to the here and now. Maybe you reference the past a little bit, the future a little bit, but you're coming back to the moment of what am I going to do next? So the ingredients still remain. I'm here to tell you, take care of your life. Eat well, eat good food. Stop eating chemical crap. Get water, exercise. Look hard at your relationships around you. Are they toxic and building you up? Or are these people that are truly there for you, want what's best for you, and are encouraging to you, and weed out everyone else because they're taking your time and they're sucking out your soul? Don't put up with it. Read, educate, look for discovery. Have a preparation of a balanced life where you've taken care of yourself, you've gotten sleep. Put the damn phone down. Go out in nature and listen to it, even in winter. Get out there, listen, meditate. I'm not sure I like that word actually. More fact, just listen. Get away from the city. All those things. That's if you didn't know it already. All that's a long distance race too, because stuff happens there you can't control. But keep the focus on. Have you taken the best care of yourself? Because your worst day is going to come from those aspects having let slip. And I think through that, you start to discover what just are the situations you want to just not let yourself get into in the first place. Because you already know, you can identify which of those you're not going to be your best at. Most of the time, you can figure out how to predict and prevent them from arising. That's a long distance race too. That's my mission, is to be the healthiest, wisest, least jackassy person I can that might be relevant for what is worth being relevant for, and stay there. And that means focus on all the above, try to get this next project to continue to moving forward, and stay open to what else I need to improve, discover, and take joy in.
The mission is the moment is one of, I'm not going to say it's my favorite thing a guest has ever said, but I love that phrase. I mean, that excites. The mission is the moment. I can get on board with that. Because exactly what you said.
There's two of us now.
I actually Googled it just to see. Anyways, I'll talk to you offline about something else. Real quick.
I like that.
So we daisy chain these shows together. And yesterday on the show, I had this. He's a young man from California. When he was a teenager, 16 to 18, his parents were out there. They were divorcing or something, and he's just, screw it, I'm going to stay out here by myself. You guys go do whatever you're going to do. And he kind of dropped out of school for a while, eventually got his GED, learned a trade, and now makes music and is starting to be a prankster. So I think it's kind of cool that he didn't take a traditional route that everyone always wants us to, and he's fairly successful right now. His question to you, though, is if you were going to go out into outer space forever, you're going to the end of the universe or whatever, what 3 albums would you take with you?
The conversation you and I have had here is a terrific example and illustration of the sort of things I was talking about earlier in the call about discussion itself is thinking, and discussion itself is jamming, and discussion itself and deliberation enables shifts in thinking and an evolution of experience and openness to new horizons that you didn't know you weren't open to before. Early in this conversation, I might have had a different answer to that question. Now, I'm realizing the answer I have to that question is I'm already there, already in deep outer space. In the unknown, and I'm pretty confident everyone is when it comes down to the test of understanding who they are and who they can be without anyone's permission, especially without any barriers to their own selves of belief in themselves and what's possible. So it's not going to be an album. It's going to be those ingredients about am I in the moment, and do I have everyone and everything in balance to the ongoing behaviors and choices that maximize what's possible in that moment. So it might sound like cheating on the test, but I'll say the album's the moment too. And always will be. And
you can make your own albums, right?
Well, I found out the hard way, so next one I'm going to make it even harder. So, and I already have. So you'll be the first to know. Maybe I will be the first to know.
I love this answer. I mean, Prince, Kiss, and whoever, it's an easy answer. Your answer is super profound.
And and I'm ducking the question because there's a hell of a lot of music I love. I couldn't pick just 3. I'm not. But I think it's an honest answer, though.
Yeah, it's great. So tomorrow on the show, I've got Kevin Carter. He runs Hood Illustrated, which is a R&B hip hop type of magazine published here in Lansing. Mm-hmm. And what question would you like me to pass to him?
First of all, in all humility, sir, best wishes. You've already got a mighty undertaking. You don't need me to tell you that. That said, my question would be, especially for someone undertaking the effort you have, is what might be the particular strategy or key strategies you turn to when you've been knocked down or knocked off track that get you back up and back on track sooner or later.
And I always flip that question on the guest. So what are some of your strategies?
I've had time to look up the correct answer. And that answer is the preparation. With the expectations already calibrated around respecting, because of the moment, that whatever might have happened, I need to be honest about what's happened. Let myself experience the need for it to heal from it, whether it's big or small, because it's still the same process, but continue the expectation that I eventually drift back to a center, to that moment, back to the moment. That whatever happened might have changed what that center is moving forward forever. They will. But to have expectation that there's always a new middle that from which everything is possible and still is your mighty fortress waiting to surround you from all foes.
I like it. It's
That's what I got.
I'm gonna TikTok this later and answer it from my perspective, and
Good.
I'm really curious how much this conversation is going to impact, like how I would have answered that question yesterday versus now how you have. I can't escape you now, right? You've put some sort of.
Well, I've been called a
energy.
black hole before, from which not even light escapes. So definitely keep some distance there. It's not good for the metabolism.
I don't think I want that, but we'll see where it goes. Happiness, sadness, joy, hope, and or love. Which word or words would you like to talk about?
I don't think they're separate. And oddly enough, perhaps because of what I've been through or in spite of it, I'd be careful to say to anyone to not overrate any of them and not also see them as silos in different departments, and to not make them your priority. Those things flow from choices and luck and fortune, but they also flow from that preparation that we keep talking about, physical, mental, emotional, moral care and action and staying in the moment. But that said, you can't go down aisle 17 and pick those off the shelf anytime you like. It's not going to work that way. And even when you do get them in the cart, you're going to get robbed of them here and there, all through your life. Some people have worse luck than others, but the preparation will improve the odds that you'll have some of that on an ongoing basis. And when the cart is empty, just remember to stay and to work to stay in that moment, to continue taking care of yourself. And you know what? I've been knocked very low. And sometimes you just got to stay on the ground and wait to get your breath back. And then slowly get back up from there using those ingredients and time itself, and trust that it will pass. Everything passes, misery as well as happiness. Don't put emphasis on either of them because they're going to keep coming and going. Think about that center and how you've built it and how you need to build it further. It's a long distance race for everybody.
You can't pick these from aisle 17. It should be the name of an album.
Maybe you start with the hardware department, but even then,
Yeah.
there's still going to be a lag bolt you don't have.
Yeah. Everything's tied together with you. Everything's flowing with you. You've integrated this in your life. It's I don't know.
Redaction is about disintegration. Technically, it's about covering over details of a story and truth. Sometimes that's to protect people. Other times it's to lie. The trick is in knowing the difference.
It just popped into my head. T.S. Eliot's The Beginning of the Wasteland. No, I'm completely losing it now. I just forgot exactly what I was going to say.
Everyone's going to Google it now, though.
It's not what it's April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land. That's T.S. Eliot. That wasn't what I was thinking of, and I didn't realize it.
That's when I was born. So take that. No wonder I'm this way. I was born in April.
And I just completely blanked on what I was going to say. So how about this? I'm so happy. I could have just not responded and said, okay, he canceled, and just look for somebody else. I don't know why. I usually don't chase the guest very much, and if you want to do it, I'm very happy about it. But if you don't want to do it, I want to give you the space to not do it. And for some reason, I really thought I should just question you. And I am so very happy that I did. And I would love to continue this conversation over a coffee sometime or something like that, or just get to know a little bit more.
I'd enjoy that opportunity. I'd grow from it too. I apologize for misreading the book by the cover. That's on me. And so I'm lucky that you had the courage and strength, and you were the grown up and said, "Hey, hold it, get back here. You don't know what you're talking about." You know what? You got people like that in your life. You must be on the right path also, because you got good people helping you keep in touch with what's what. And that's what you did, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. What would you like to take us out with?
I'm thinking of the chorus to a song that comes later in my album, Redacted Passages. The song's titled "Tailored to Undress," and do my best to recite it exactly. Obviously, the chorus goes as each and every more disappears. Beauty bleeds its better days, while terror dreams up all our fears. You and I die immortal and live as the wildest guests, cloaked in clashing clothing, tailored to undress. Sayonara.
And I can't improve that. See y'all later, and I'll be here again tomorrow at 2. And thank you so very much, Andrew.
Be safe, be well, everybody. Thank you all. Best wishes.
Peace. Stick with